3:01, we will call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum for both. If you will please stand and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, in front of you, you have the minutes. If you will take a look at them, see if any additions and or deletions. We do have one addition to it. Councilwoman Wanda Smith thinks she was here last meeting. We will check the sign-in sheet, and if she is here, we will add that to it. If not, it will remain the same, unless there's any other corrections. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion's been made.
Second.
Properly seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? They're approved. This time, we'll turn it over to the cases for Brent.
Thank you. We will start in our historic zoning portion of the meeting. So as a reminder, only historic zoning commission members can vote or speak on the cases. That being said, first case is HZ3 2024. It's the application of Dwight A. Eversole with the agent of Wren Baggett. Reason for the request is to demo an old two-car garage building and replace with a two-car carriage house. This property is located at 410 South 1st Street. This property is located in the Dog Hill Historic District, which is on your screen now. Dog Hill is named for the dogs which howled at Clarksville's train and steamboat whistles and began developing in the late 1870s and became home to a number of Clarksville doctors, merchants, and bankers. The majority of the neighborhood's building took place from 1870 to 1900 and occurred in the form of 1 to 2.5 story frame cottages whose styling reflected folk Victorian, Italian at Second Empire, and craftsman designs. This is the primary structure at 410 South 1st Street, and the building which is being requested to be removed behind it. Our 2020 historic survey had this to say about that structure. At the time of the 1981 survey, the homeowner was Jess Orrell, and the historic name provided was the Hodgson House. A note was included: Frank Hodgson married A. Wilson. Wilson's father owned a lumber company and built the house and gave it to them as a wedding present, found in Deed Book 106, page 572. It's a circa 1880 one-story frame Italian gable L dwelling with a brick foundation, weatherboard siding, 3 interior brick chimneys, and a gable roof of asphalt shingles. The facade on the east has a gable front projecting bay and an L wing with a 3-bay porch with milled wood posts, spindles, and arched openings. The main entrance has a single light glass and wood panel door beside a 1/1 wood sash window. The projecting bay has a bay window with a 1/1 wood sash window flanked by pilasters and small scroll brackets under its hip roof canopy. The south elevation has a pair of 1/1 wood sash windows with a gable pedimented surround. There is a single similar window on the north elevation as well as a bay window. Moving to the next photo, a little higher up, as always, big thanks to Mr. David Smith for the images that you will see today, for all the work he does for the community and the Common Design Review Board. Here's a shot looking with South 1st Street on the left. Union Street is just out of the screen on the bottom. Again, the building that's looking to be removed is this building here and replaced with a carriage house. One more from the rear of the property. We'll point out this property doesn't go all the way to Union, so the building that will be removed, the carriage house will be replaced right behind it in this area. So it will not front on Union, so to speak. Then one more looking straight down, and the site map provided by the applicant, again, showing what I just described. The building to be removed and the carriage house to the rear there. You have Union Street and South 1st Street at the top of the site map. These were the renderings submitted by the applicant. The primary materials are a hardy board siding. It will be a Sheraton sage, which is kind of an olive green color, and will also have cream colored trim and accents. We'll point out this is the elevation too. The east elevation as you would view it from the rear of the house. And the following rendering here is how it would be viewed from Union Street. This is a similar project that the applicant did at 419 South First Street. This building was approved at the April 2023 meeting of the Historic Zoning Commission. So it's right across the street to the rear of 419. Staff comments, the Dog Hill Guidelines has the following to say about garages and other outbuildings. Make them simple but reflecting the character of the house, compatible in design, shape, roof shape, and materials, secondary in height and scale to the house, and located on the lot as traditional for the neighborhood. Finally, like all historic cases, we notified all property owners within 100 foot of the parcel boundary. So I will answer any questions of the staff if there are any.
Does anybody have any questions? Doug?
So the carriage house is replacing one of the two outbuildings?
That's correct.
Is there anything in the historical survey about the circa of these buildings related to the original house?
Mr. Eversole, and I'll let him answer, but I believe this was built in the 50s or 60s, the one looking at being removed. The survey did not call out either one of those structures, though.
Brent, I'll ask you this question, but I'm sure the applicant can as well. If you go to a picture of the rendering, because I saw it has a full, almost like a double bay, singular double bay garage there, but there's no driveway there, correct? There's no driveway back to this portion of the property.
Correct. There's a driveway apron onto South First Street, and I'll let Mr. Eversole,
Okay.
I think the plan is
Would like to hear a little more about that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Were there any concerns from the citizens surrounding that area?
I have not heard from any of the residents that were notified.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I do have one question.
Yes.
If you can go back to the picture, any other one of the pictures, overheads or whatever. What's the building on the,
This one here?
yes, yeah.
I'll defer to Mr.
Okay.
Eversole.
And they're gonna tear down both of those are garages that where the carriage house will?
Just the one to the right,
Just the one with the pitched roof, the
Right.
flat roof stays?
correct,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, yes, we'll ask him. All right, any other questions? Seeing none, we will open the hearing for HZ 3-2024. Is there anyone that wishes to speak against this? Please come forward, you'll have 3 minutes to state your name and your address. Any wishing to speak against? Seeing none, is there anybody that wishes to speak in favor of it? Anybody that wishes to speak in favor of it, please come forward and you'll have 3 minutes. State your name and your address, please.
My name is Dwight Eversole, and I live at 410 South First Street. This is my property. I bought it back in '96 as a retirement home, and that's where I've lived all these years. The property next door is a small property. It's a small house built in the 50s, and it's a one-bedroom house, about 600 square foot, and it was built for firefighters at Fort Campbell, and it's currently and has always been a one-bedroom little rental house. The garage was built probably in the 50s or 60s, and during the tornado, the trees had fell on it because there was like 20 trees behind the property, and when the trees had fell on it, it was almost demolished, and I rebuilt it right after the tornado around 2000 by just repairing the roofs and keeping some of the main structure, but almost everything had been replaced. So it's a simple 2x4 plywood house that I house 2 little collector's cars in right now. But those, in order to accommodate, I owned the 414, 410. I'm combining both those properties, and then I bought 2 lots behind me. One was 45 by 45, and then I bought the neighbors beside me and across had subdivided that lot in 2005, and they offered me to buy the middle portion. So I bought that middle portion of the lot, and then the two neighbors bought a section 25 foot by 65 foot deep facing Union Street because they didn't want anybody to ever be able to develop that area facing the street, so it serves as a side yard for both of them. I'm currently getting ready to close on the 25 by 65 lot that actually has a curb connection to Union Street. And I should close on that on the 6th. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lots will be combined at that time. I have the survey, and it should be done in probably a week after that, prior to me applying for a building permit. So other than that little corner, I will have recombined all that property.
Is there any questions for Mr. Eversole?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Do you live in this home?
Yes, Mrs. Smith.
Okay, nice home. Thank you.
And I was going to also mention the carriage house in the front. You'll see the keyhole window, the front doors, the frame. All that came from the F. Norman Smith house that used to stand over here on the corner. And so I've had all that stuff stripped and prepared. And so we're going to try. And I've got the mantle, the original woodwork. I'm going to put 3/4-inch hardwood floors in there, and then the two bays will serve as a place for my little collector's cars. And I do have a driveway that comes from First Street all the way back to it, but it's kind of grown up with grass because we don't really use it. And I wanted to mention one other thing. Last year when I was permitted to build the one across the street, it turned out amazing, and it's took 5 vehicles off the street. And that's what my main goal is these are big family homes. They should have garages, they should have off-street parking. And since I've been fortunate enough to do this, I know my home is a valuable home, but it doesn't have a garage. And that would be a main deal breaker for the next owner that decides that they want to live there. Because I'm sure I'll be 60 next month, so I don't know how many years I got left.
Any other questions? So, so you're gonna use the grass driveway that's in there to come into the garage?
Yes, sir.
And what is that second building next to the garage, between the house and that garage you're gonna do? Is that yours as well, the little blacktop? Oh, it's that one. I was talking about
No,
these.
one next.
No, these two.
This one's going.
That double one is a double garage.
both those.
Yes, both of that'll be gone.
I thought you just said.
And that's the rental house.
And that'll,
House for the firefighters.
yes.
That's the firefighter house.
And so the house up front was tore down or caught fire, and then the firemen moved in the 50s. They built that little house back there.
So both of those little side buildings are going?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir, because that'll provide, see, by doing that, I'm able to pull the garage to the back of the lot, and I still don't need any lot exceptions. I'm going to stay at least 10 foot off that little cottage, and I'm going to stay about 30 or 40 foot off the sideline property over here, and 10 foot off the back property line. And I'm going to replace that retaining wall between the two properties. And then I actually will have a driveway connection to Union, but I don't plan on putting in a driveway or anything there because there would be no use for it. It wouldn't be able to access the garage.
Right. Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody got any other questions for staff or anybody? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to
approve.
second.
Motion's been made, properly seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. Now we'll, Brent, you wanna go to the next one?
Lead the historic zoning portion of the meeting. There is some other business to take care of, consideration of adding a downtown historic overlay. Don't know if we want to turn it
Do you have
over.
any slides for this?
Do not.
Do we have anything in their folders?
Do not.
Okay.
It's not even on the
So,
agenda.
a member of the public made a request to us. We said it would be best to ask the chairman. They did get in contact with the chairman, and he did give them the permission to go on the agenda to request that certain properties downtown be put under the H1 overlay. This is something that would have to be initiated by the planning commission, but the Historic Zoning Commission can elevate that request to the Planning Commission to take that study and the process underway. So this is not staff initiated at this time. We have met with the individuals to give them some information and talk about the history of what is Franklin Street and Strawberry Alley, but I think it's best to just open the floor and let them explain, answer any questions, and then staff can answer any questions after then.
So, it's not on the agenda, so we're fraying from the agenda, so who are we calling on?
It's on the second page.
It's the other business, I think.
Other business, all right, so who would like to come forward and talk about the historic overlay, or what we're talking about? Do you have some people here? Please come forward, state your name and your address. You'll have 3 minutes. Do we want to postpone this to
Y'all
the
wanna
next meeting?
postpone this?
Should we postpone this to the next meeting?
Hi, I'm Jennifer Rudolph. I do apologize. I thought there was a map that would be attached with this. It's a small portion of Franklin Street. Again, I thought we would have a map to look at. And it's downtown proper. Also Strawberry Alley, just in a 1-block section. It appears that everything around it, in front of it, behind it, beside it, already is under a historic overlay. It appears that maybe this just was overlooked, and it would be proper to include it in what already is an H1 surrounding all of the properties. Again, I thought this was gonna be on the overhead. There is a Clarksville Architectural District already under an overlay. I can pass this around if you would like. Again, this is a small section that we just feel like has been inadvertently overlooked as being part of the H1. Let me just pass this around, and I apologize that it's not on the
You can
screen.
give it to the chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What section did she highlight what she's talking
So what does this mean?
I'll talk about that. Well, Ms. Rudolph, are you done? I'll fill in some gaps, I think.
Mr. Tindall, yes, sir. I do apologize. I thought that we would have this up here, reference specifically the boundaries
Yeah.
of the Franklin Street and the Strawberry Alley that were in the,
I
that are-
think we asked you all to kind of come up with the final, when we met, to come up with the map to bring. We do have that map that you're placing or passing around. So what you're looking at is the 1978, I believe, National Register of Historic Places. There was a district designation for all of downtown Clarksville as a design district. As you all know, a National Register of Historic Places designation is just a honor. Does not come with any extra rules. It doesn't come with any extra protections.
about. That's Franklin.
The entire block of Franklin Street, the entire block of Strawberry Alley between First and Second Street are not part of our locally designated H1 historic overlay. They are in the common design downtown urban design overlay, but not under the H1 protections, which obviously offers just a little extra protection to the historic structures. And I don't think there's any argument that Franklin Street and Strawberry Alley are all historic structures, both based on that map and just based on the age and condition of those streets. So Ms. Rudolph and her friends here met with us and would like the consideration of extending a historic district from First to Second Street over the properties that front Franklin Street, Strawberry Alley, and a couple of the other ones. For instance, even the county courthouse is not in a historic overlay, and that's one of the oldest buildings downtown. So their consideration
Depends
was
what you're
to
gonna call a
elevate this,
building.
the planning commission, to basically do what is an area-wide rezoning, to add H1 designation over a block of area considered probably the oldest core of our downtown.
Now, this is to go for a study, correct?
Correct.
This doesn't automatically do it, change that H1 overlay. You were
My
com-
request simply was to ask that it be raised
Consider.
up to the RPC to conduct a study to see the appropriateness of it.
Right, so we're just approving a study, is that correct?
You can approve what you want. You can ask for a study. You can ask for the planning commission to consider studying and doing it. I don't think a study would come back and say that it's a bad idea. I think it has its merits. I think it is something that since the late '70s has been possibly overlooked, or just we've leaned on the downtown urban design overlay.
But if we did a study, then we could come back and vote on it again.
You could.
Yeah,
So this is about changing the architectural district to the H1 overlay and then adding to the architectural district.
Taking some of the properties on the architectural district and putting the H1 overlay designation on them for historic instead of just downtown urban design
Would this
overlay.
require the property owner approval? Or
It would
this just
not,
be put on?
but it would require city council approval, just like any other zoning case.
Because I know we had, in the past, we had a lot of issue with people wanting to remove themselves from H1 districts, and I don't know how receptive some property owners would be to all of a sudden their property being deemed.
I believe if you
Historic.
look at some of the recent happenings with the Dunlop Mansion, that is a property that is not in an H1 overlay, but is in the urban design district. There's a little more protection for properties that are under the historic designation.
Sure.
If I may say one more thing, how I currently read the map that I've passed around, it is in the architectural district. I understand there are hardly any at all, or maybe zero differences in it being in an architectural district that would be similar to an H1 as far as if someone wanted to make a change to their building. Right now, they still would have to have approval by Common Design Historic Review. Just simply placing it under an H1 is not going to change that process that's already in place. It would just give it the designation that I think it probably deserves.
thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I got
Yes,
one.
sir.
What determines significant and non-significant buildings on Franklin Street?
I would have to go back and look at what that study said about, that was done back in the '70s, and unless Brent knows off the top of his head, it's in that study from back then of what significant and non-significant meant. It likely dealt with the condition and the age at that time.
Right. I mean, it could have been anything from a missing storefront on a building to,
Boarded up.
a storefront significantly altered. It's hard to say, but that's going on 50 years old now, so.
Would anybody else like to speak in favor of it? Please come forward, state your name and your address.
My name is Don Sharp. I live at 607 North Second Street in the Emerald Hill H1 district. I didn't come prepared to say anything, but as I'm listening, I felt that I might have something to contribute. Now, my area of knowledge and, if you want to say expertise over the years, has been in the H1 areas that are predominantly residential. Not that familiar, frankly, with all the structures and the areas that we're talking about here. But when the Dunlop Miller issue happened, one of my focuses was to study what's happening on a national level when cities designate historic areas like the H1, the protection that it offers, and how it affects tourism dollars. Because there's a direct correlation that I found, and I'm not prepared to give numbers, between any city and the total number of historic structures that are preserved and heritage tourism. Tourism that comes into Clarksville, that's general, and Teresa told me that she never tracked it according to general dollars and dollars for people who came here specifically for the heritage aspect. But I can tell you that H1 is not foolproof, but with H1, areas have more protection. This overlay that you were talking about and the Dunlop Miller, I did read the language on that, and I'll say it's really short on protection. But the language for H1 has more protection, a little bit more teeth. So I would urge you to at least strongly consider there is a value to putting an H1 overlay over any area. From a dollar standpoint, a preservation standpoint, which equals tourism dollars in any area. And that's my thought.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else that would wish to speak on considering adding the downtown historic overlay?
I'll also add this, Mr. Chairman, and this came in totally different from this discussion. Since the time that we met with the Ms. Rudolph and the other individuals who are here today, we have been awarded a $30,000 Tennessee Historic Commission grant, and we're going to specifically put that towards hiring a historic architect to look at the downtown regulations and the downtown urban design regulations, and trying to both strengthen where we need to strengthen and probably have some community meetings to see is there some room to modernize them to current desires and standards. So I don't think the H1 for this is kind of independent of that study. That study will happen regardless. That this would just be designating it, changing the map, if you will. It was the request today. We will then, over the next, because this award doesn't start till at least October, when we can start spending this money. So you're probably looking at late spring, where we would bring back some new language to be voted on and actually change the actual language of the regions. So just wanted to give you that little more clarification, that similar efforts but separate in their what they're going to do.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to speak?
I just wanted to add real quick to apologize to Ms. Rudolph for maybe some confusion on both ends. The study today in the Clarksville Architectural District, for instance, the map already includes Public Square. Well, that's already a historic district. So I think, ironing out the boundary is maybe why the map wasn't included today. The staff will look at that, try and come back with a nice, cleaner boundary to kind of mirror that architectural district. So,
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak on considering of adding the downtown historic overlay?
It is.
Please come forward, state your name and your address.
I'm supposed to speak too. I did too.
Hmm?
I thought it was just two.
Do we only have two?
Yes, two for and two against.
We have three?
We'll have three.
Y'all now three? Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not going to say much. My name is Brenda Harper. I live in Montgomery County, right outside of Clarksville. I would just want to say that most of us, we talk a lot about historic downtown Clarksville. And this area we're speaking of today, that is what most of us think of when we talk about historic downtown Clarksville. Franklin Street, the Public Square, and of course, addition of Strawberry Alley. I'd like to see 3rd Street in there too. What's left of 3rd Street, we lost so much of it in the tornado. But those critical areas, and then they, as Brent was just saying, they kind of bump up against some already H1 areas, like down at Public Square where the Poston Building and City Hall are, and then all the way over to Main Street. We're getting close to that as well. But just to have it flesh out that critical downtown area that we think is so important to calling ourselves a historic Clarksville community.
Thank you. Yeah, we usually do 3 on each side on the county. All right. Any other questions? Anybody, those were 3 in favor. Is anybody that wishes to speak in opposition to the overlay? Going once, going twice, gone. Any other comments? Any other questions from this board? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I would bring forth a motion to do a study on this before we make a decision as to vote on this, as we don't have all of the information. We've heard from three persons, however, there was no map, there was no total details about it. We just need to do a study on this before we, go forward.
Second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. Now we'll go back to case study MSCD 24-2024.
That's correct. The historic zoning portion is closed, and we're into the Common Design Review Board portion of the meeting. The only case on that agenda today is MSCD 24-2024. It's the application of Club Car Wash with the agent of Austin Walter. Reason for the request is renovation of existing building into fully automated car wash tunnel with interior and exterior vacuum bays for property located at 1493 Madison Street. That property is in the Walnut Hill Liberty Parkway subdistrict. It is probably known to most here as the Rite Aid, which was built in the late 90s. This is looking into the site. Important to point out too that that building will remain, that building will be renovated. So.
But there'll be a car wash.
The interior will be a car wash.
There will. Here's another shot going around the building there, looking back toward our historic downtown. One from the rear of the site with Madison Street in the distance there. Another one looking back down Madison Street toward the city limits. One more just looking straight overhead. Leading into the site plan, again, showing the building that will stay. Most of the impervious area will stay as well. They are removing a little bit in a way to better conform to the guidelines as far as landscaping, adding street trees every 25 foot, and carrying the sidewalk all the way down Liberty Parkway to the edge of the property line.
Very nice.
Finally, we have the elevations submitted by the applicants. Again, it is the renovation of the building. They will be removing the peak of the roof in this area here, and had some projecting ephes as well that will be smoothed out in that area. The top right is the property as it would be viewed from Madison Street. The bottom elevation is it will be viewed from Liberty Parkway. The building will be repainted white and black and have red accent bands. We'll point out on the elevations too, in the top right, the Liberty Parkway Walnut Hill Subdistrict calls for 40% glazing. This application does come in at 30% glazing, so they are asking for a variance from the guidelines there.
But it is a significant increase than the glazing that's existing in the building.
It's hard to say. Currently, it has some glazing above the door. However, it's mirrored and tinted, so it's hard to really count that. But it's hard to say if it's an increase or not.
Is this really glazing when that's where the tunnels come out, right?
Right.
So they're gonna be open the majority of the day in good weather, so there's really no glazing, it's just looking down a tunnel. We can talk to the applicant when they present.
And again, the only staff comment is the variance that's being requested today from the 40% glazing requirement. And I will answer any questions if there are any.
Any questions?
I have
Yes,
a
ma'am.
question. Thank you for the information. My concern is, and what I would like to know is what is so unique about this car wash or different about this car wash compared to the other car washes that are on Madison Street? We already have, I think, 4 car washes. We got White Cap, we have the, I can't name them all, but I know when I see them, but we have 4 car washes already on Madison Street. So what is so unique or different about this that we need another car wash to bring in more traffic and, we just don't know. I don't know if this is a good idea to
I'll
put a car
defer.
wash there.
Club Car Wash does have a representative here. I will say, what's unique about this one is the interior vacuum bays. I don't know that I've ever seen that, but again, I'll let the Club Car Wash representative.
Okay,
Well, just
thank you.
clarification, it is a use permitted per the zoning.
That's correct.
Go ahead.
That's correct.
Any other questions for staff? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing for MSCD 24-2024. Is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor of it? Please come forward and state your name and your address.
My name's Justin Barnes with Club Car Wash, office at 1591 East Prathersville Road. I am the Vice President of Construction and Development for Club Car Wash. And kind of answer some of the questions that were brought before on as far as the glazing. Yes, the 2 doors that you see, the tunnel on the right-hand side, that is the car wash tunnel. The one on the left side is the entrance to the interior vacs. So most of the time, if while under operation, those doors will be open. We do have proposed on the, I think it's Liberty, on the west side there, the additional doors and windows that are placed on that side as well. So I do understand that there is a 40% on the south side elevation there, but we have added some of the glazing or the windows, doors that will, seasonally be opened on that west side there as well. And as we mentioned before, we try to, what makes these sites advantageous for us is being able to use the building as they're sitting now. Do a little minor renovation to it as far as adding some new material to the outside, but the bones of the building we will use. We do have some excavation that we've got to do inside in the interior in order to get our conveyor and trench pit put in there. But once again, the corner lots, we've got several of these around the country that we've taken, the pharmacies, the CVS's, the Walgreens, the Rite Aids, that we're trying to perfect in order to get a car wash built inside of an already existing building. So the corner lot is a huge advantage to us, as well as the traffic count as far as answering questions of what sets us apart or why we feel that this site is a good site for us.
Not the site. I want to know why is it so unique? What is so different about it that we need another car wash on Madison Street? You understand we do have 4 car washes or 5 on Madison Street that's already bringing in a lot of traffic. So my concerns is, do we really need it? What is the difference? What is going to make this so,
Well, we feel as though
victorious?
it's market driven for what we're at. I mean, I don't know as far as to be able to answer your question of what makes us unique, other than we feel as though we put out a clean, shiny, dry car better than the competition.
All of them do that, sir.
Well, that's
What's the
good. I don't-
difference? That's what I'm saying. What's the difference? What makes you so unique that we need another car wash on Madison Street? That's my main concern.
I guess I'm not sure how to answer that question without, I mean, as far as the design, I can answer questions to the design of it, but as far as what makes it unique, not being a resident of Clarksville, not sure of the product that's been put out by
So you
those other.
haven't done your research to find out what makes this unique? And the reason I'm asking this is because this is in my ward almost.
Sure.
And I have a lot of constituents that are concerned about the traffic that we already have, overflow of traffic, more accidents. So is there any safety thing about this? How you going in? How many entrances do you have? What do you have? How many you have coming out? How you gonna deal with the traffic going in and out on Madison Street? Because this is right on the curve next to Kroger's. And this is gonna have impact on my voting, okay? So I need to know that, sir.
I think that the best part about this is located at a traffic signal that's right there where a lot of the car washes I saw coming in on Madison are mid-lots that come through there. So when we try to do our design and finding out if the site is good for us, we do try to have a break in access, but it's protected by a traffic light there. So we're not bringing cars that are darting in and out across cross traffic there. This has that. as
How
far
many
as
ingresses do you have?
There's 2, one
The
off
exist-
Madison.
The 2 existing.
Yeah, the
Two,
existing
in the
ones.
front and the back, is that what you're talking?
Yeah, Liberty has 1 in Madison as well.
That's
correct.
The 2 existing egress points.
Two.
And
Yes,
you
one on
greatly-
each road there.
And you're
So we're
greatly
not-
increasing the landscaping. I think your landscape plan looks really nice.
Yes.
It looks fabulous.
To give you a
Looks
little
nice.
more,
Go ahead.
to give you a little more background on the councilwoman's questions, I think this board, the planning commission, and the public here have been a little fatigued over the last 2 years. This is at least the fourth or fifth car wash on this side of town that has come in from the ground up. Some have actually torn things down for them.
Sure.
I'm actually glad you're reusing the building. As they say, the greenest building is the building that's already
To
there.
release, yeah.
If I personally could roll back time 6 years, I would probably have taken car washes out of the C2 zone. I don't think it's a neighborhood use, but that's not what we're here to deliberate over today. We're just here to deliberate over the design and your landscaping and discuss the glazing issue that's here, and that's up to the board. So
Sure.
that gives you a little more where everyone's coming from.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Kirk?
I just wanted to make the comment that that's been kind of a blighted property for quite a while. And it would, even though I agree that we have a ton of car washes, to see something happen here to make that an improvement, especially by being Kroger's and Family Eye Care there, there's an awful lot of traffic going, people in the community there. I just think it would be nice to see something happen with the property, so.
Gary?
This will be the fourth car wash in exactly 2 miles. It's to be the closest one to my house, which would be 7/10 of a mile. You're talking to a dumb old football coach now.
Again, though, we're here as
Again,
Commissioner
yeah.
Tyndall said, we're here to talk about the
C2
design and the
zoning is
glazing
not
and
what
stuff.
we're-
Zoning
I
part,
understand,
not
but
how
I'm
many
trying to
cars we got.
understand how you can have a wash and a vacuum inside of this building.
Well,
what
so
they
the
do.
tunnel will be set on the inside, coming around. Is the site plan available?
So the main entrance now, will that be,
It'll be on the northeast side.
okay,
So you come around, the drive lane will be on the east side, coming parallel to the building. You'll enter the tunnel on the northeast side, drive through the car wash tunnel, come back around, and if you want to use the interior vacs, if it's a cold day, whatever it is, you can come in on the southwest corner, right there, use the interior vacs and exit to the north side, if you want to use it.
so your main entrance is not gonna be off Madison Street, it's gonna be off the side street, next to Kroger, closest to Liberty
said
Park,
two.
In order to utilize the car wash, you'll come through on the east side. You've got to come north on the east side to get to the pay station and then
Okay.
come around.
Okay.
So if they, Madam Chair, I got something. So if we come in, past, Kroger's, and I'm not sure if we're going south or north, I don't know, you could tell me, going this way, the car wash is over on this side. Okay, now the traffic, you got, what, 3 lanes? We got 3 lanes on this side. We got a turning lane, I think. Both can use it, I think, and then the car wash is over here. So if there's an interest coming in across that traffic, that could cause a conflict.
I think that most of the traffic, ma'am, to address that question is going to view it exactly like you do, and that's leaving the entrance up on the northwest corner, the top right. That'll allow them to get back out to the traffic light to get onto Madison.
So you saying we coming, help me somebody, cause
I mean, it's no different from the people coming in and out of the Eckerd drugstore that was there.
No.
Correct.
But I'm saying you're gonna have more cars coming to a car wash than you are to a Eckerd drugstore. Because, and what I'm saying, huh,
Yeah, it operates in that manner or that manner.
but we're coming across the traffic, right? And they're gonna be
The
lined up.
entrances are not
I'm
changing.
not trying to go against you building anything. I was just hoping you could build something else. I'm just being with you, I'm serious. Than a car
mean, if
wash,
I'm turning
because
left, I'm gonna turn
car
left at the
wash,
light.
it brings
Across the
more.
traffic.
Wait a
We're
minute, I'm
talking
not.
about the zoning. not
Okay,
what kind of
but
business.
still, I need to know why we need another car wash, when we could have put something else there.
Great point.
Because it's gonna be making more traffic, and you're gonna have a backup of traffic trying to cross over, versus that being something else.
I think a good point to make.
That's my point.
Sure,
I'm
I
just trying to
understand.
think about the traffic and the driving, problems. We have a lot of wrecks now on Madison Street.
Sure. I think it's worth noting, when we pick these sites, having anchor tenants such as a Kroger, a Walmart, any big retail anchor that's coming in there, we're trying to pull that traffic where they can come in here for 3 minutes, get a car wash, and go on about their day. I don't know that I want to go on record. My boss would probably kill me, but I don't know how much traffic that we would actually be generating more for people that are just coming for a car wash and then leaving and going someplace else. We're trying to pull that traffic that's coming from that anchor tenant on that side. That being said, that traffic technically, I would consider is already there. We're capitalizing on the traffic that's already there, not bringing somebody all the way across town to hit this store.
And you can enter off Liberty Parkway and get around to the pay station, so you're.
Yes, sir.
I mean,
On site.
Yeah, if I'm coming that way, I'd make a left-hand turn at the light and not cross traffic to.
That is correct. It's
Yeah.
full access within the site, coming up off of Liberty, I'm sorry.
Is it Liberty?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Liberty Parkway. or whatever.
Liberty Parkway.
If that's gonna be the entrance, that will make it better. But you said you had an entrance coming in off of
On the
Madison
south
as
side,
well.
yes.
Well,
Yes.
there is, but so like, here's the traffic intersection where the lights are. If I'm coming out of town, I would turn left at the light and
Across
go
the
in there.
traffic to go in, across the traffic.
At the light, at the signal where you get a.
But you're gonna go past the
Okay,
light to
that's-
get into the
No,
entrance.
Are there any more
no,
questions?
you can go
Light.
down Liberty Parkway and then come in and
You're turning at the
circle
light,
around.
Wanda.
Oh.
You don't have to cross the traffic.
David,
As Mr. Tinlin, you said, we basically, this is a zoning issue.
that's correct.
All we're here is to look at the aesthetics of this.
That's correct.
And I don't think we need another car wash either, but let's look at what we've got to discuss.
Yes, I agree.
Well, all of it comes together. It comes in together. It depends on what you're putting there, even if it is talking about zoning.
That's
You
fine. We
still
can
got
get
to
into
know what
this
we put.
conversation when we get there. Are there any more questions
Yeah.
for Mr. Barnes?
No,
No.
thank you.
Is there anybody else that wishes to speak? Please come forward, state your name. You have 3 minutes. And your address.
I'm Bruce Lynn, I'm representing TTL. I'm with Club Car Wash, representing the project. I'm from 682 Hamilton Avenue in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm here to answer any questions. I'm the engineer for the project.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Why did y'all decide to do a car wash
We're
versus
here
something
to
else?
talk about the zoning and not the car wash.
Well, that has to do
I'm
with
the
the
engineer
zoning.
for the
That's what's
project.
gonna be put on the zoning area. It's in a C2 zone. So
Mr.
we can,
Tindall?
By right, they can do anything they want in that building, whether it's a car wash.
I know, that's why
a
I asked him, why did he
store, a
decide a
restaurant.
car wash
Well, he's the
versus a
engineer.
restaurant?
He was hired by the owner to do a design.
I understand, I still have a right to ask that question.
Answer the question, please.
Please.
I'm the
Why did you
engineer
decide to do
representing the
that?
owner, and they want to build a car wash.
Okay.
Any other questions
right.
for the engineer? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions for anybody, or anybody want to say anything, or for the staff or anything? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
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 Motion carries.
Is that the final item?
That's it.
I got a couple
Next meeting,
announcements.
September
That's all I gotta
23rd.
do. Are there any public comments limited not to the agenda? Nobody here, so that is not.
All right, a couple of other items I want to fill you all in on. This Thursday night from 6 to 7 o'clock at the Crow Rec Center, we are going to be hosting a just listening session, charrette, for extending the MLK design district from MLK and Madison Street to the interstate. This was something that was actually initiated just before COVID hit back in 2019. And it kind of sat on the shelf, and the Councilmember Streetman, who initiated it from council, asked where it was, and I said, well, we got to resurrect that. So because council did it, I owe them, we have to resolve this. It's something council did, and we need to bring it back to them. So the first step is to have a listening session this Thursday, and I expect next month to just bring back what will be a map update. It's just going to run the highway and the residential district that you already operate under Madison Street along the properties going up MLK. There's a picture of it on Facebook. I know we put a picture of it. It will go on the website next month, but
Did we decide whether it was going to end?
we're ending it at the westbound side of the interstate. We have not crossed the interstate at this
Oh,
point.
okay.
Almost every one of those parcels has been developed already, and it's a mixture of city and county. As soon as you get over, I think in the future we could extend it, but we wanted to make it as easy and understandable as possible. Any existing houses are under what they call the residential subdistrict, which really means nothing applies. And then everything else is under the highway subdistrict, which means the base zoning applies with some additional landscaping, signage and glazing. It's a very minor stuff that goes along. Not even that. The residential and highway subdistrict is essentially setbacks refer back to base zoning, and then the materials come here. So kind of like how we treat most stuff on Madison Street once you get past MLK right now. So that'll be this Thursday night, 6 to 7.
Where?
Crow Rec Center.
Oh, Crow, okay.
Yep. And I mentioned the $30,000 grant we got from THC, so that'll be great to start that this winter, to hire someone to look at the downtown design codes for the downtown urban design overlay and the H1 overlay together. Look at both the procedure, the rules, and see what needs to change to make us just more legal here. And then finally, thank you all for your feedback this past month. I did get an email back from everyone asking about both the LED signs and I believe also the MLK overlay. Starting next month, we'll start looking at the LED signs, but the overall response I got was, I'm okay with it as long as it has some regulations. So our goal here will be to regulate LED signs citywide so that the flashing, the blinking, the motion, the brightness all gets taken care of, at the same time allowing folks in the Madison Street corridor to have some LED signs, but maybe not 100% of their signage. So that's kind of the direction we'll go there with that one. But we'll bring that back to, that has already been initiated, I believe, by the Planning Commission. So we'll bring that back to you with a study and an ordinance in tow. Mr. Smith.
Reference to the LED signs, who's going to be the watchdog?
It will be the code department.
Will that include Austin Peay? Since it's state
Unfortunately,
property.
as a
Not
state
state
group,
schools.
it is not permitted. Every time I see them put up another building and another LED sign, I know we're on the record, I don't care. I've told the president this much as well, but it's just like, you know, why don't you have to follow the rules everyone else does? So, and I've counted this sign out here, it flashes every 6 seconds, and I think at least 8 seconds is the bare minimum to avoid too much distraction. In fact, it should go even higher.
And they're
than that.
making money off of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then finally, I mean, we just got 7 consultants filled out an RFQ for our zoning ordinance update, which was our promise after doing the comprehensive plan. This Wednesday, we were interviewing 3 of them to choose a consultant to help us for the next year and a half rewrite all the zoning code from the ground up. A lot of it's going to stay the same. C2 will stay a C2, but the uses may change. Like I said, I would have loved to be able to go back. Car washes are coming out. That's no question there. I would have loved to, go back in time and make car washes only a C4, C5 type highway use.
Too
But
many of them.
so, sometimes, there's, as a growing city, they can move faster than we can, buying things and moving on things. And even if I changed it today, it doesn't stop this one. It would just stop the next one. So that's just one of the small things we're looking at. We're going to look at signage, landscaping, lot sizes, types of uses, density, parking requirements. It's all going to be looked at to try to get us up from our early 90s code to more of a modern 2020s code. Gary.
Dumb question.
It ain't done. It is done. No
Milan
questions
had to
done.
come in front of us to approve the buildings that he's building around the old
Jefferson
chamber.
Street.
Huh?
On Jefferson Street.
On Jefferson. Joe Maynard had to come in front of us about the distillery.
Mhm.
Who came in, did they come in front of us about the arena and the 2 parking garages?
The arena did not, because it was a county project.
That's a county.
The city garage did not, but the other garage did, because at the
County
time,
one
it
did.
was tied to the DoubleTree Hotel.
Yes,
We did
Okay.
review that one.
yes.
But the city deck and the arena did not. And that is one thing we're gonna look at with our zoning code update. There's something called mandatory referral, and it's something I've always looked at. A lot of planning commissions have it, and our previous city attorney believes that we were established without that authority. Basically means that every city project is still subject to coming to the planning commission, but it doesn't mean they have to follow your rules. The city council and county commission can always overturn the planning commission's decision, but it means at least we get to see what's happening before it's in the newspaper. And there's some instances of things that have gotten approved or built or going on with either the school system or all that we don't find out till it's too late. And it's hard to do planning of things around things when we don't know what's going on out there. So we're going to look into that as well. But yeah, if it's a city or county project, they don't necessarily have to follow their rules. They should, but they don't have to.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I still have a problem with trying to understand how does the building codes authorize a contractor to build a home versus it coming to you all and then to the city council. I still don't quite understand that. Do you have any regulations or policies on that that we can look at or I can look at to
If it's a
kind of?
residential lot, zoned residentially, in the state of Tennessee, you can always build a single-family house with just going and pulling a building permit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, even up to a duplex.
Well, I've seen it happen, I
Yeah,
just didn't know.
And if it's zoned for duplexes, you can pull a duplex. Once it's a triplex or greater, it has to go through the planning commission process.
Oh, okay.
It's not, the city council does not approve, you only approve the zoning and the
Right.
rules.
Right,
We enforce the rules that are written.
right.
We kind of sometimes call ourselves umpires. You know, we call the balls and the strikes, and we enforce the rules that are out there. You all are the only ones that can change the rules. We can suggest changing the rules. Just like, you know, football every year, at the end of the season, the owners bring hundreds of new rules they want to see
Right.
changed or amended, and then the league does it, and then the referees adjust to that. But no, I don't think city council, except for a planned unit, would ever see a site plan to approve. It would, it's just the zoning.
And
That's why I always tell you all, don't approve it if you don't want what's in that zone to be built.
Right. Thank you.
I didn't know this was gonna turn into Q&A.
Well, I have something I can ask
But
you.
it's
after.
good.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a good thing. Any other questions, any other comments? Motion's been made to
Second.
adjourn and properly seconded. Any
We all
discussion, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Ah, we out of here.
Thank you.
See you.